Welcome back, y'all. Today, we're cooking chicken, but we're not gonna do it like you typically see, cooked whole. We're gonna spatchcock this bird, season it with some sriracha. We're gonna hit it with a beautiful teriyaki barbecue glaze, and we're gonna finish it with a nice little kiss of smoke on our SNS Kamado Grill. Let's get this prepped. Let's talk very quickly about what a spatchcock chicken is. To spatchcock your chicken is essentially taking out the backbone and opening it up. You hear of a lot of different proteins being butterflied. We are essentially gonna butterfly this whole chicken. It's gonna help it cook more evenly and quicker than if you were to cook it whole. So here we have the breast. In order to spatchcock the chicken, you'll flip it over onto its backside, and here's the backbone. We're gonna use kitchen shears, and we're gonna cut out this entire backbone, which is gonna open up the entire cavity. We're then gonna flip it around on its breast, perform a quick little CPR, break that breastbone, which will flatten it out, and we're gonna have this beautifully spatchcocked chicken, not only that will cook faster and more evenly, but presents beautifully when you're serving to friends and family. If you don't have kitchen shears, that's okay. You can absolutely cut out the backbone with a knife. Just make sure it is a very sharp knife and be careful. So first things first, I always want to pat dry my chicken. Do not wash your chicken, because all that will do is spread bacteria all over your work surface. We're simply going to take some paper towels and we're going to pat it dry. There is nothing on this chicken that is going to hurt you or create any kind of issues as long as it's cooked properly to a temperature of at least 165 internal. Buckets. So to get started here, I'm gonna go ahead and score the skin where I'm gonna make my incision. Kitchen shears are not made to cut through chicken skin. So the knife's gonna go, a very sharp knife, down the backbone here, right down the side is gonna score that skin so that I don't get caught up having an issue with the kitchen shears. So we're gonna go ahead and make a nice little incision there. Come down the other side of the backbone. Same thing on that side of the skin, just to make your job a little bit easier when it's time to use the kitchen shears. With the kitchen shears, I like to start on the head side. Tends to stick out a little bit more, gives you a little bit of a better visual to work with when you're using your shears. And we're simply just gonna cut directly down the side of the backbone. We're gonna flip it around, do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll go ahead and flatten it out. The ASMR here is wonderful. Hearing those bones crunch. Kitchen shears really are your best friend. If you don't have a set in your house, I suggest getting one. You'll use them for things far beyond just this application here. So that first incision was made. I'm gonna go ahead and flip this open so that I have a better visual of where my backbone is here. So I can continue right down the line here. A little bit easier to see on this side what you're doing. And here you have your backbone taken out of the chicken, essentially butterflying it, opening it up, and allowing us to flatten the entire bird. This can be used for chicken stock, for sure, along with any other bones and stuff that you trim from any chicken. All right, whenever handling chicken, make sure you're gloved up, wrap it up. You don't want to cause any potential issues with cross-contamination. So now that we're here, if we turn it towards you, see how we're opened up here? We have both thighs, the legs opened up completely. Looks great. That's gonna allow us to put seasoning in here, create just a ton of flavor. We have our breastbone right here. In order to get this completely flat, we're gonna have to cut that breastbone just a little bit. You don't have to cut all the way through it. We just wanna kind of start. Because what we're gonna do here is flip this over. Yes, I am a health and phys ed teacher by day. I teach first aid and CPR as well. So what we're gonna do here is a little bit of CPR, palm directly on the breast, flatten that, give it a little break. And now you see we're set here. I mean, that is a beautifully flat, even spatchcock chicken. It looks beautiful. It's gonna cook faster, and it's gonna cook more even than if you were to cook an entire whole chicken. So it's all we're left to do now is season. We're gonna do a teriyaki barbecue glaze with this chicken, brush throughout the cook, and we're gonna hit it with our Rub City Sriracha seasoning. This is a hot chili rub. So the sweetness of the teriyaki barbecue, we're gonna add a little bit of kick with this sriracha. We don't need any oil, olive oil, or anything like that. Plenty of moisture in this bird. We're gonna coat very liberally over the skin on both sides because we have that beautiful open cavity here. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure we get the entire inside here covered up. More surface area equals more flavor. And this is the perfect example with your spatchcock chicken. Open up those wings, make sure you get inside there. And there we have it. Perfectly seasoned, prepped spatchcock chicken, ready for the smoker. We're gonna put this on the SNS Kamado Grill using our deflector plate. So the smoke is gonna be coming up around the deflector plate, give that chicken a beautiful kiss of smoke, and then out the vent at the top. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. We're gonna let this rest for about 10-15 minutes while we set up our Kamado, and we'll throw this on for the best spatchcock chicken you've ever had. We're gonna fire up the Kamado, get it to temperature, again, right around 275. This is gonna be a fast cook. We're going for about hour and a half till this is finished. I'm gonna set the Kamado up a little bit different than I have previously. Last time when I was cooking the beef ribs, I just dumped the charcoal at the bottom and used a tumbleweed and let that go ahead and fire up. Took about 15 minutes to get to temp and we shut it down. This time, I'm gonna use our trusty chimney. I already am gonna put a layer of unlit coals at the bottom, and I'm gonna fill the chimney up with about a quarter of charcoal briquettes, and we're gonna fire those up, dump them on top. So we're going back to what? The minion method. That's gonna go ahead and fire them up a little bit quicker for us. We're gonna get to temp, and then we'll throw this chicken on. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna remove the grill grate. I'm gonna take my briquettes, we're dumping about a chimney amount at the bottom of the Kamado. When you're firing up the charcoal, feel free to do it right on the grate. Not gonna be a problem at all. So I have about 10 to 12 briquettes in here. We're gonna go ahead and grab a tumbleweed. Place that right underneath. Once that's lit, this will take us a few minutes, maybe 8 to 9 minutes. Go ahead and fire that up, and then we're gonna dump those coals on top of our unlit. We'll place the deflector plate, put our grate back on, and then we'll be ready to let that get to temp. It'll happen a lot quicker with the minion method. All right, our coals are fired up. It's been about 8-9 minutes. We're ready to dump them. We're gonna go ahead and put these right on top. We'll go ahead and remove the grate. This Kamado is so big, what's nice about it is you can literally fit an entire chimney in it. So it kind of helps the cause when you're dumping. So you can put them in a nice pile right in the center. So those are good to go. Deflector plate, it's fine. This shows that you have made some absolute kick-ass barbecue at some point in the past. We're gonna place that on top. I'm also gonna show you a little pro tip on how to clean your deflector plate and grates when you're finished with a cook and it gets all black and messy and disgusting. Super simple. Grate back on, shut her down, and we go ahead and open our vents. We're gonna get this to 275 and we'll be ready to throw our spatchcock chicken on using the deflector plate, indirect cook. It'll take about an hour to 90 minutes and we'll be good to go. We're back, it's time to rock and roll. The SNS Kamado is ready to go. We're sitting at 275, so that's right where we want it. We're gonna go ahead and take our spatchcock. I mean, look at this. It's just beautiful. That seasoning is just looking great. It's been sitting for, just a few minutes. That skin's nice and dry. I mean, I'm loving how this is looking already. We have the deflector plate. Our briquettes are running nice. They're gonna be low and slow throughout the duration. We're gonna pop the spatchcock right on there. Make sure that the legs are flat. You want that nice shape. Wings are tucked. Breast is popping. Boop, boop. Directly in the center of the Kamado. It's gonna cook nice and even. It's gonna be about an hour and a half. We're gonna give it about 45 minutes. We'll open it up, take a look. We'll temp it, see where it's at. We have to make sure we finish it at least 165. I am completely fine if this chicken goes up to like 180. It's all bone in. We have dark meat, white meat. We just don't want to dry out the breast. But I'm really not worried about that. We're sitting at 275. This is going to come out absolutely perfect. It's been about an hour. We have our SNS Kamado sitting at 300. We're going a little hotter and faster with this because we don't want to dry out the chicken by letting it go for, 2.5 hours. We want to make sure it stays juicy and tender. So we're at a point now, we're going to open it up. We're going to temp in the thickest part of the breast, give us a good gauge of where we stand, how much longer we might have. We're sitting at 155 internal. As you know, we want to get to 165, so now it's the perfect time to sauce. As I mentioned earlier, we're doing a teriyaki glaze. One of my favorite sauces, Bachan's Japanese barbecue sauce, green onion. Hits all the marks in a really good teriyaki glaze, and it's going to set really nice as we get another like 15 to 20 degrees internal on this chicken. We're going to go ahead and glaze this a little bit on the top of the chicken. We're not going to flip the chicken. We're just going to hit the skin. Want to crisp it up, add that flavor. So I'm going to take the Bachan's. We're going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a glaze over top. You can be pretty liberal with it. I do have a silicone brush. Give it a nice base. Brush it in. This is going to add just an incredible color. Get that teriyaki flavor that we want to finish with. And we're going to let this go for probably another 15 minutes. And we'll be right around 165, 170. It'll be absolutely perfect. So we have a nice base of that glaze. We're rolling at 300 for probably another 10 minutes. We're going to let that set, temp up to about 165, 170. Even 175 is fine. That breast is going to be nice and juicy, fully cooked. We'll check back in about 15 minutes, and we'll see the final product. It is that time. It's been an hour and a half. We glazed it with that beautiful Bachan's teriyaki glaze. We're going to go ahead and temp it. Make sure that we're at least at that 165. As I mentioned before, I'm not worried if it's 170, 175. Once we're there, we're going to pull it out, and we're going to break into this baby. It's going to be juicy. So I always go into the thickest part of the breast for my first temp. We're sitting at 170. All right, that's perfect. Then I like to go in between the leg and the thigh where the dark meat is, and we're perfect. We're at like 180, so that's fine. The dark meat is not going to dry out, so don't worry about that one bit. Let's go ahead and pull this thing off. We're going to place it on the cutting board, and then we'll talk about where we go from there. Let me just enjoy that drip for a second. I'm not sure, and I am not kidding. I'm not saying it just because I'm on film. This might be the most perfect looking, shaped, colored spatchcock chicken that I've ever made. And I've made a lot. I'm going to go ahead and turn this around so that you can get a better look at exactly what I'm saying. I mean, sometimes there's just no words. That's money. So you don't have to let this rest. We could dive into this right now, but I understand a lot of times, myself included, timing is a big thing, especially if you have guests. If you do get this done a little bit earlier and your guests aren't going to arrive for another 20 minutes, half hour, you can feel free to tent it with some foil, wrap it tight in some foil. You're not going to lose that color. You're not going to lose that skin. It's going to stay moist and juicy. So you have that on your side if you'd like to. As you all know, we're throwing a party here. We got guests. We got people watching. I got my crew. So we're going to go ahead and cut into this baby right now. A little drip, a little juice, and a ton of flavor. Let's do it. Huge advantage that we've talked about with spatchcock chicken is the time and the consistency of the cook that you get. But another advantage is how much easier it is to butcher when you are ready to serve. We pretty much have it divided into the breasts, wings, thighs, and legs already. Is all we have to do is slice it, and we need something big. Your lines are kind of already made for you there, so I'm going to go ahead and slice the thigh and the leg together. We'll take these wings off, and then you'll have the two breasts ready to go. So simple. It makes life so much easier. Now let me just show you here. Everyone's going to tell you not to squeeze your meat, but it's just so satisfying. Beautiful. That skin is nice and tacky from that Bachan's. The meat, obviously moist. That is as close to a perfect chicken quarter as you could get. All right, so we'll move those aside. We have our two thighs. and legs. Honestly, with my wings, I just like to use my hands because I'm just gonna pop that joint and we can pop those right off. All right, and we've cooked them to 165, 175. So that meat is just gonna fall right off the bone. Perfection. And then we have our breasts. So we can go ahead and divide the breast. You could take it off the bone. I like everything on the bone. Personal preference, if you wanna go ahead and slice it. For camera's sake, what I'm gonna do here is go ahead and slice right down the middle, since we have our beautiful knife. And here's your two breasts. Bone in, not far from an airline cut chicken, but we won't get into that. But that's a beautiful breast there. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you kind of, they'll tell you never to do this. You should never slice directly across the breast like that. It's typically not what you wanna do. When you do cut breasts, you should do it like this. Okay, you're gonna get a better finished product. All right, but sometimes it's just about that money shot. So what I wanna do is I'm gonna slice directly down the center of the breast here, just so you can see how incredibly juicy the finished product is. I mean, that is just... All right, guys, so let's take a look at how juicy this breast turned out. So we can go ahead and pull that piece off. Now we have this nice piece of breast right here. We can go ahead, slice it into small little chunks. You see, when you slice it that way, you have beautiful piece of skin, ton of flavor there, just incredibly juicy breast, white meat. I mean, there's just not much better than this. I am a huge dark meat guy, but this just looks too good to pass up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do our taste. We're gonna take a bite on this, and I'm telling you, I already know how it's gonna be. That smoke comes out right away. You definitely get that bite of smoke. Excellent. The bachans topped it off. That soy, that sweet, excellent. And then, of course, our sriracha that we used, you get that little bit of a kick from the seasoning on that skin. It's just incredible. I mean, if you want to do a chicken and you want it moist and you want it fast, this is the way to do it. Spatchcock chicken. This is the way I prepare my chicken 80% of the time now. If you want juicy, hot, and fast chicken ready in no time, make sure you spatchcock your chicken. I'd love to see it. Please, please, please tag me. I want to see the results. Tag Embers TV. We have so much more to come. This spatchcock chicken is dripping with juice. And as always, I have so many friends to feed here. So we're going to be out, and I'll catch you next time with Embers TV.